Hi everyone, I'm going to be speaking on Incarnated Elementals, particularly the Fae. I decided to do this video because I've had people ask me about Incarnated Elementals. Also, a subscriber asked me to make public my very first and only video I've ever done on Incarnated Elementals and the misinformation that's going around within that particular sect. And so I thought, well, since people are talking about this and people have come to me and asked how this and that, let me just do a video on elemental phase. So that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm also doing it because there is a very prevalent theme in media now, where you're seeing a lot of these elementals, and I think that's just showing the importance of elementals and the role that they play, you know. So I'll kind of get more into that later, but here we go. What are incarnated elementals? Incarnated elementals are souls born into human bodies that come from another realm. I remember I was speaking with someone, and this was an older person, and they asked me, they were like, what are you? And I've gotten that question multiple times, but this is the only instance in which it wasn't being asked to me in regards to race or ethnicity, because that was already known. It was asked to me as far as like, what type of being am I, because of just who I am and you know, my physical age in comparison to I guess the knowledge and wisdom I have. I'm not really sure what prompted them to ask that question, but they knew that I was different. So, and I told them, I was like, well, they asked if I thought I was an alien. I was like, no, I don't think I'm an alien. I was like, but I did, you know, recover one of my past lives, and I was a Fey being. So, yeah. But, yeah. So Earth realms are on much higher vibrations than the human 3D realm, and those who can incarnate as humans are on an even higher vibration within the Earth realm. So, incarnated elementals are associated with either of the four elements, earth, air, fire, or water, and incarnate into human form to teach humanity. So we came here on a mission. Those of us who know that we are here on a mission are serious about it, and we incarnated due to the destruction occurring on Mother Earth and her environments. So land, ocean, air. And so a lot of us have incarnated into this form in order to advocate in this realm for our planet and our homes, because clearly not many humans are doing that. Characteristics of incarnated elementals. We revere nature. So sometimes we're environmentalists. We care a lot about the environment. We try to do whatever we can to be conscious of how we're treating animals, how we're treating plant life, how others are treating plant life. Also tend to be animists, so believing that we're not the only ones that possess a spirit, but plants possess spirits, animals possess spirits, and also pagan. So those beliefs are considered pagan beliefs, you know, non-Christian, non-Judaism, and then non-Islam, you know. So just earth-based belief systems. Also spiritual, so we see the deeper side of things and are connected to unseen entities. We also tend to be rebellious, move to the beat of our own drum, not easily controlled, and tend to be free spirits, which can look like carelessness to humans. So I had to stress that. Also tend to be outcast, just very different than other people. Artistic, maybe unhappy due to the condition of Mother Earth. I do think some incarnated elementals are not sure why they're unhappy, and I don't think that every incarnated elemental is aware that they are one. And that's another reason why I'm doing this video. I think it's very important because it's so many different realms that exist, and they're interacting like, or intertwining will probably be the better word for that. So it's like, this is me being open and putting this out here because there are people who are incarnated elementals and aren't aware and are trying to find themselves and figure things out for themselves. So hopefully this video will help you. Also very paranoid of humans. Highly sensitive and may have mood swings due to this. Very passionate in their mission and care for others. Loyal. So we are very loyal, but when we are betrayed or harmed, are very quick to cut that person off. In relationships, we can hurt those who love us unintentionally due to just having different needs than humans. And so that's something that should be known. Just having different needs is not necessarily intentionally hurting you, but it's more so of a thing of, we come from different realms, and so it's not like the, this human realm, and so understanding of things and like I said earlier, like the vibration is just totally different. So I read somewhere that it's not advised for incarnated elementals and humans to enter into like romantic relationships together. And just due to personal experience, I would have to say that I agree with that. I cannot see myself being with someone who is not an incarnated elemental. Like, in my future, like, no. If I'm with anybody in the future at all. But we love deeply, but do not get attached. And when choosing to commit, if we choose to, then we commit with a life partner. We also have a very strong energy. So that energy tends to lure others in. People tend to not really know how to deal with that energy, how to navigate when dealing with us. So some people, take it to, just straight up root chakra type of sexual stuff because they don't know any other way to communicate feelings or anything other than that. So some people, and I'm not talking about the elemental phase, I'm talking about humans when they come across incarnated elementals. They sense a strong energy and they're lured in and they think it's like this romantic thing and this, or this sex thing, and it's like, no, it's not that way, but another characteristic, wild, so can't be tamed, and also not the best in financial matters. And I wanted to elaborate a little bit on that. Like, we come from a realm with no money, and so things can be obtained easier than they can here in the human realm. So with that being said, when we're here in this realm, we're not really worrying necessarily about money, and we don't have the same thinking process as humans do in regards to money, because we're always believing like, oh, it'll be more, like it's gonna come. And we also don't really vibe with like just the ways in which a lot of people in this society get money. And so it tends to be hard for us to exist within like the corporate world and things like that. Like just very difficult. Like that's just not really it's not our type of environment. So in that way, and not even just like corporate, but just even if it's just a regular job, it's just difficult for us to exist in that way. So, we tend to have financial struggles for these reasons. And if we don't really like understand that, and if we don't put ourselves in check, once we do understand that, then the financial struggle will persist. So, yes. And also, incarnated elementals may have drug addictions. So, what is an incarnated fae? An incarnated fae is a fae spirit that has incarnated into a human body. I also want to say that not all fae are bad, nor are all fae good, just like with humans. Not all humans are bad, not all humans are good. And I felt the need to share this because I see a lot of like, just obviously like propaganda and things like that in regards to fae. And there are some types of folklores that are just very negative in regards to fae spirits. There's religions that are very negative, calling all fae spirits evil, you know. So that's why I felt the need to put that out there. Characteristics of incarnated fae can belong to one or more elements. So I say that because people tend to think of fae as belonging to the air element because, flying, having wings. But that's not necessarily always the case. So, I know a fae whose element is fire. And also, there's this show on Netflix. It's a newer show. It's called Fate, the Winx Saga. And the main character is a fae, and her element is fire. So not all fae have just like an air element. Some have different ones, some have more than one. Intelligent and deep is another characteristic. Can be lighthearted, happy, loving, and have a bubbly personality. Some have a warrior energy. Mischievous, and I want to elaborate on that too, because being mischievous isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you just want to have fun. Like, sometimes you just want to laugh and you do things just to laugh. Like, man, I remember back when like the show Jackass was out, like I used to love that show. And like there was this other show that came on. It was called Homewreckers. So one of the guys from Jackass was like the star of Homewreckers. So he would show you how to do all these pranks and stuff, right? So one time I did one of them. It was with the kitchen faucet, and I played the prank on my sister, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on with the faucet or whatever?" Like, just talking to lure her into the kitchen so she would turn on the faucet. And so she did it, and then like water just sprayed all over her, and I started laughing. Like it's just the type of stuff we do. It's not to be a bad person. It's just to laugh, to have fun. Um, Another instance was when I was younger. Like I knew my dad would like have nighttime snacks. Like he would go into the kitchen and he would get his nighttime snacks and he would walk back in to the bedroom. So he had gone into the kitchen and I played this prank on him multiple times. I was so surprised that it still worked, but I got a kick out of it every time. So he went into the kitchen, and so I'm hiding. It's dark because it's nighttime. It's late at night, and so I'm hiding around the corner um, of the wall. And so he walks around the corner, and I jump out, and I'm like, "Boo!" And then he jumped and like, ah, like every time, and I just thought that shit was hilarious. So yeah, we could definitely be mischievous. Tend to dislike urban areas. due to the fact that obviously there's hardly any nature, if at all, within big cities. So that like to have fun and can be enchanting. And that's basically what I was already talking about in regards to having that energy that lures people in. Sensitive to the environment around them. So, in regards to that, a few years ago, I went to New York, and that was my very first time in New York City. Okay, I had never been, and I literally got sick. Like, I was just in the bed for like the last day because I just felt so bad because my body was not used to being in an environment such as that, where it's just like extreme pollution, just like a bunch of buildings, like barely any trees. Like, I was not used to that at all. So I got sick when I went. May have sensitivity to metals, and that's something that I've experienced as well. A few years ago, more than a few years ago, I was working this job and I was counting money, and the coins started to have this, like, I don't know if burn is the right word, but it was like a burning sensation kind of. It was just weird. Like, I can't really explain it because I can't think of a word that explains the sensation that I got when I touched it. But when I touched those coins, it didn't feel good. And it eventually got to the point to where I had to wear gloves in order to deal with the money, in order to deal with the coins in particular. So I wore those gloves until whatever was going on with me stopped, and I didn't know what it was. So that's an example of that. Also, we have a sensitive nervous system. We're protectors of nature. We can be healers, tricksters, or both. Fae in different cultures. Among some American Indian tribes, Fae, or supernatural humanoids, are referred to as little people in the language of the tribe. So this image here is from the story How Morningstar Lost Her Fish by the Iroquois. So I'm going to share this story with you. Once the little people, the Indian fairies, ran with the red children through the woods and played with them beside the streams. Now they are not often seen, for the white man drove them out of the woods with the Indians and away from the waters with his big steam noises. But before steamboats and great mills were on the streams, the little people were there. They were often seen paddling their tiny canoes or sliding down the great rocks on the banks. They loved to slide down a bank where one rock jutted out, for then they had a big bounce. They also liked to sport and jump with the fish. There was a young Indian girl whose name was Morningstar. She was called Morningstar because her face was so bright and she was always up early in the morning. Morningstar lived with her father in a comfortable wigwam by a river. Every day she would get up with the sun and run down to the river where the great rocks were to catch fish for breakfast. Morningstar caught her fish in a basket. At night she would go and fasten her basket between the rocks in a narrow place of the stream. Then, when the fish swam through in the night, they would get caught in it and Morningstar would find plenty of fish waiting for her. In the morning she would take the basket of fish back to the wigwam, and soon the smell of fish frying on hot coals would come from the lodge. Never since Morningstar began to fish with her basket had Chief Little Wolf, her father, had to wait for his fish breakfast before starting on the chase. But one morning, neither Chief Little Wolf nor Morningstar breakfasted on fish. And this is how it happened. On this morning, the Indian girl was up as usual with the sun. She ran down the river just as the Great Spirit lifted the sun's smiling face. Morningstar had such a light heart that she was glad just to be alive, and she sang a song of praise as she ran. All true Indians at sunrise lift their arms and faces to the sun and thank the Great Spirit that he has smiled upon them again. Happy and fleet as a deer, Morningstar ran on until she came to the great rocks. There she saw a whole tribe of tiny little folk gathered about her basket. Some of them were perched on the sides of the basket, laughing and singing. Others were lifting the fish from it and throwing them into the stream. Still, others were opening and closing the splints of the basket for the fish to slip through. Morningstar knew that these tiny folk were the Jogao. She knew also that these little people were friends of the fish. They know every twist of a fish net and every turn of a hook. Often they've been known to set fish free and to guide them into deep, quiet places far away from the men who fish. Morningstar called to the little people and begged them not to let all the fish go. Then she began to climb down the rocks as fast as she could. The little chief called up to her, "Fish, like Indian girls, like to be alive." Then he told the little people to keep on setting the fish free. When Morningstar reached her basket, a few fish were still in it. She put out her hand to take them from the little people, and not a fish nor a jogao was to be seen. The little people had darted into the rocks, for they go through anything, and the fish had slipped through the tiny spaces between the splints on the basket. Morningstar heard the laughter of the little people echo deep within the rocks, for they like to play pranks with the earth children. And far down the stream she saw the fish leap with joy at being still alive. She took up her empty basket and went back to the wigwam. That morning for breakfast, Morningstar baked corn cakes on the hot coals. As she ate the hot cakes, she thought they tasted almost as good as fish. Ever after, when Morningstar saw a fish leap from the stream, she remembered what the Jogao had said. Fish, like Indian girls, like to be alive. So in this story, the little people were saving the fish. However, the girl was trying to catch fish to eat. So from the human perspective, this could be viewed as mischievous. So, all right. So fae in different cultures. In Trinidadian folklore, there's a fae species called the Dwayne. And let me get the Dwayne story. The Dwen are the spirits of children that die before being baptized. They dwell in the forests of Trinidad and Tobago, luring children in, and may occasionally infest a house and pull childish pranks on its residents. They appear to be small naked children that wear big straw hats that cover their faces, which are devoid of features except for mouths. Like La Ciguapa, their feet are also turned backward, making them hard to track. Beware parents, don't call your child's name out loud in a public space. If Dwen are nearby, they will learn the child's name and imitate their parents' voices to lure them away into the depths of the forest. And so here's something else on the Dwen. The Dwen is often described as a mainly naked child, sometimes wearing a banana leaf or loincloth. They're about 2 to 3 feet tall and have a featureless face with only a mouth. Their faces are normally hidden under a huge straw hat, which allows them to pass as a normal child until you see them up close. The most identifiable trait of a Dwen is that their feet are turned backwards. Dwen are malicious creatures. When the moon is full, they will lure children deep into the forest. They will learn a child's name and lure them away from their home by calling it. Sometimes the child is found shortly after, but in most cases the child will never be seen again. So me, with this story as it's told, I feel like this is, well, it definitely sounds like it's influenced by Christians, just due to the demonizing of nature and the fear tactics and them talking about like a child that's not baptized, you know. But it could also be, parents that are just telling this story to make their children behave as well. Because sometimes parents do that. But the Dwen remind me of the Kurupira of Brazilian folklore only because of the backwards feet and the association with the forest. So this is a Kaipora. Kaipora are from the tupi-guarani people's folklore, and they are depicted as short, dark-skinned American Indian man or woman. But in some legends, the Kaipora are said to be a dwarf with green fur. The Kaipora are protectors of the forest. They attack and kill those who enter the forest with bad intentions. And they do allow hunters to hunt, however, if they bring offerings. But if the hunters show disrespect to the animals, then they'll be attacked. So, like, if you go in there and you're just being straight up cruel, like, you're not just getting food, you just, like, have a bloodlust, you know what I mean? And you're just killing and killing, and you're being inhumane in the way that you are taking that life, then you will be attacked by the Kaipora. Because you're not showing respect. You're supposed to show respect for the animals that you hunt and get, leave an offering, um, and have respect for the life that's being given to you. That animal is giving its life to you, for you to be able to sustain yourself. And have respect to the animal and the creator, the great spirit, might call the great mother, when doing that. And a lot of people just aren't on that vibe though. But this was something that was commonly known among American Indian people, that when you hunt, you have respect for the animals, you have respect for the area in which you're hunting, and you leave offerings. You never just go in and hunt. You never just go in and just kill, kill, kill. Everything must be done within balance. All right, so in the Cherokee folklore, the Fae are called the Nunyahi. So I'm going to read y'all the story of the Nunyahi. Once 4 Nunyahi women came to a dance at Natali town and danced half the night with the young men there, and nobody knew that they were Nunyahi, but thought them visitors from another settlement. About midnight they left to go home, and some men who had come out from the townhouse to cool off watched to see which way they went. They saw the women go down the trail to the river ford, but just as they came to the water, they disappeared, although it was a plain trail with no place where they could hide. Then the watchers knew they were Nunyahi women. Several men saw this happen, and one of them was Wofford's father-in-law, who was known for an honest man. At another time, a man named Burnt Tobacco was crossing over the ridge from Natali to Hemptown in Georgia, and heard a drum and the songs of dancers in the hills on one side of the trail. He rode over to see what could be dancing in such a place, but when he reached the spot, the drum and the songs were behind him. And he was so frightened that he hurried back to the trail and rode all the way to Hemptown as hard as he could to tell the story. He was a truthful man, and they believed what he said. There must have been a good many of the Nunyahi living in that neighborhood, because the drum and wits often heard in the highbalds almost up to the time of the removal. So this story contains the playful aspect of the Nunyahi, which those were kind of like 2 stories in one, but it shows the playful aspect, the women coming to dance with the men and then disappearing after they've had their fun, the music being played in the forest, and the man trying to find it, and then not being able to find it. It sounds like it's coming from a whole other direction than what he thought he heard at first. So, yes. So, in Shata folklore, the fae are called Kwanakasha. And the Kwanakasha are said to have very powerful magic and said to be very dangerous. So I'm going to read y'all a Kwanakasha story. A long time ago, in ancient time, while the Choctaw Indians were living in Mississippi, the Choctaw legends say that certain supernatural beings or spirits lived near them. These spirits, or little people, were known as Kwanakasha, or forest dwellers. They were about 2 or 3 feet tall. These pygmy beings lived deep in the thick forest. Their homes were in caves hidden under large rocks. When a child is 2, 3, or even 4 years old, he will often wander off into the woods, playing or chasing a small animal. When the little one is well out of sight from his home, Kwanakasha, who's always on watch, seizes the boy and takes him away to his cave, his dwelling place. Many times his cave is far away, and Kwanakasha and the little boy must travel a very long way, climbing many hills and crossing many streams. When they finally reach the cave, Kwanakasha takes him inside, where he's met by 3 other spirits, all very old with long white hair. The first one offers the boy a knife. The second one offers him a bunch of poisonous herbs. The third offers a bunch of herbs yielding good medicine. If the child accepts the knife, he's certain to become a bad man and may even kill his friends. If he accepts the poisonous herbs, he'll never be able to cure or help his people. But if he accepts the good herbs, he is destined to become a great doctor and an important and influential man of his tribe and win the confidence of all his people. When he accepts the good herbs, the 3 old spirits will tell him the secrets of making medicines from herbs, roots, and barks of certain trees, and of treating and curing various fevers, pains, and other sickness. That is the reason the little people take the boy child to their home in the wilderness in order to train Indian doctors, transmitting to them their spiritual curative powers, and to train them in the manufacture of their medicines. The child will remain with the spirit for 3 days, after which he is returned. He does not tell where he has been or what he has seen or heard. Not until he becomes a man will he make use of the knowledge gained from the spirits, and never will he reveal to others how it was acquired. It's said among the Chata that few children wait to accept the offering of the good herbs from the third spirit, and that is why there are so few great doctors and other men of influence among the Chata. It's also said that the little people are never seen by common Chatas. The Shata prophets and herb doctors, however, claim the power of seeing them and of holding communication with them. During the dark nights and all kinds of weather, you can see a strange light wandering around in the woods. This light is the Indian doctor and his little helper looking for that special herb to treat and cure a very sick tribesman. So those are a few folklorish tales. I hope you all enjoyed those. I think they're very good tales to tell to your children, maybe except for that Dwayne one. But everything else I think is pretty okay. Fae portrayal in media. So I kind of stated this earlier. The old folk tales have made their way into entertainment now because they hold truth and because supernatural creatures are still here and our plight. So the incarnated ones, incarnated elementals' plight, needs to be known, much like the indigenous peoples of the earth. Just like calling on the names of your ancestors keeps them alive and keeps them going in the spirit realm, it is similar with elementals. When you respect Mother Nature, that keeps them well and that keeps them happy. So this image is from the 1992 film Fern Gully, about Fae trying to save their forest from destruction that's caused by humans, caused by the machines that humans use, and the pollution that they cause. So in this image, we clearly see the Fae, being suspicious of the human. She's like, how'd you get here? Like, who are you? Like, she's looking at him like, who the hell are you? And so that goes back to that age-old war between humans and the Fae. And, again, this is why they say that humans should not be in, or Fae should not be in any intimate, romantic type of relationships with humans. If you watch this film, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Similar to if you watch Avatar, right? They're not Fae, but they are indigenous peoples and they are connected to nature. And so you have the one who's like the clones, and they're coming in and pretending to be them. And so you see how that unfolds in the Avatar film, and how just the people's environment and the trees are destroyed. So similar situation. This is the Kodama from Princess Mononoke, which is a 1997 film, about a guy who tries to make peace between humans and the forest spirits as war between them both begins due to human societies destroying the forest. So this image is the Kodama. The Kodama are ancient spirits that inhabit the trees in the film and are said to appear when the forest is healthy. They begin to die off when the forest is being destroyed. So the Kodama is an ancient belief that actually comes from Japanese folklore, and the Kodama have the power to bless or curse. So when they're properly honored, they protect houses and villages. And this just reminded me of something that a person from Haiti told me in regards to the deforestation that's happening, that has been happening for a very long time on the island. So they said that basically the Christians are in support of the deforestation, and the voodoo stans, the voodoo practitioners, are not, because they understand that these trees have spirits in them, and you are to respect the spirits. And so I decided to look into that. And what I found was the mapu tree. This is the mapu tree in Haiti, and it contains lua. So it has lua, which are spirits in Haitian voodoo. And here's a quote from an article I found. It says, "When you cut down a tree in Haiti, you evict its spirit. There are plenty of homeless spirits in Haiti because so many trees have been cut down." A voodoo priest explained that Protestant missionaries are responsible for the eradication of Haiti's trees. Missionaries scare the country people into believing that the tree spirits are evil and must be uprooted. When the trees are chopped down, the spirits become angry with the people because they have no place to live. So they bring no more rain for the crops and no more soil. So that's what happens. That's what's going on in a lot of places, actually. Okay, and here's another depiction of Fae in media. It is the 2006 film Pan's Labyrinth. I really, really love this film. Like, I've recommended this film to so many people. I can definitely relate to Ophelia. But here in the image, you see the Fae beside Ophelia, and the Fae were like assistants to the Faun. So the Faun was trying to help Ophelia, even though she was kind of scared of him. He does look kind of, scary. We're looking at him. If you watch the film, you'll be like, oh God. But I actually knew somebody in high school who was like, uh, I knew somebody who was like, oh, he looks sexy. Like they were like, oh, he's sexy. But if y'all see this Fawn, like I swear to God, y'all gonna be like, what the fuck was up with this person who was thinking this thing was sexy? But I thought it was hilarious. And who knows, maybe she was an incarnated elemental as well for her to think something like that. But anyway, in this scene, the Fae try to save Ophelia from the Pale Man, but the Pale Man ended up killing the Fae. Because while they were trying to save her, telling her, no, don't eat this food, don't stay here, get what you got to get and go on, she was not listening. She wanted to eat. It looked too good to her eyes. So they stayed there trying to convince her to leave. And what happened was the Pale Man came and bit their heads off. So, but that's the thing about like Fae, like incarnated Fae too, is that we're very loyal. So like when you gain our trust, we are extremely, extremely loyal people, but to the point of like basically sacrificing ourselves for the ones who were loyal too. And that's something that I had to learn to really, really, really not do, and to balance myself out in regards to doing that, because it's like sometimes we can be so loyal that it's to our own detriment, and that's not healthy. So the Fae first appeared in this film as a stick bug. So Fae have the power to transform themselves, which is how you can get the incarnated Fae. All right. So this here is a scene from Maleficent 2 in 2019. Both of the Maleficent films are about a war between the Fae and the humans, or they call it the people of the moor. The moor being like the land area, swamp area. So that's a term that they use in the film. The moor people, the people of the moor, and then the humans. So here you see them flying. In this scene, the male Fae tells Maleficent that they are dark Fae like her. Like, she didn't know that any Fae like her existed. Like, we saw the three Fae godmothers who kept over Aurora, but we didn't see these. So there we just saw like a Siberian looking Fae in a cold region. We see these Fae, looks like maybe kind of like a woodland type of area. Um, yeah. Yeah, this looks like a woodland. Woodland Fae. He may be like a wizard too, or a sorcerer. And then we see the Fae here that have the fire element. We see the tropical Fae. And we see the Fae families in the earthen pods. So this just goes to show that there's different types of Fae. Fae have different types of Fae in the Earth realm, but also different types of incarnated Fae as well. So we have different skin tones, we live in different habitats, and we possess different gifts. Just like the Fire Fae, we saw the Fire Fae. So yeah, just like is portrayed in the film, or no, the show that I mentioned on Netflix, Fate the Winx Saga. The Fae in that show have different gifts. So same thing. So this is Carnival Row. This show came out in 2019 on Amazon Prime. It's a really good show. It's a steampunk style show about immigrant elementals who have to live among humans because their homes were invaded by humans. Okay? So, what the Fae are experiencing is very similar to indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples and Fae spirits, nature spirits, elementals, incarnated elementals are very closely linked. The first episode of Carnival Row shows a war happening between the humans and the Fae being captured. And throughout this show, they have to, it's like the elementals have to choose sides, right? So like for the Fae, which the first two main characters are like Orlando Bloom's character is half Fae, half human. Cara Delevingne, I don't know if I said her name right, but she is fully Fae. But Orlando Bloom, okay, spoiler alert. I'm about to give you some spoilers if you haven't seen the show. Orlando Bloom finds out that he's half Fae. He didn't know that he was half Fae, but he's investigating the murder of Fae that are occurring across the town. But he didn't know that he was half Fae. He found out eventually. But if I remember correctly, he didn't know. So basically, he was passing for human. Um, so some hide their identity, and so that's another similarity between indigenous peoples, particularly those in the United States who have had to do, these things in order to survive. So there we go on that. Fae women are depicted as prostitutes trying to survive in mankind's society. So in this image, the first one at the top, this is Tourmaline LaRue. I really, really love her character. But this is the sex scene. The sex scene was actually a very popular scene. People were sharing it all over social media and talking about, oh my God, the Fae sex scene. But basically, I do kind of think it's some bias here as far as them casting or making the Fae like prostitutes. Like, come on. But like this goes back to the Fae having a very strong energy. Fae also have very strong sexual energy, so this also applies to incarnated Fae. So, the writers of this show probably know that, and they chose to make the Fae prostitutes. And so obviously there's some type of bias there, if you ask me. But this brings me to an experience that I had recently. And I remember I did a live video on Facebook because I was so upset. Like, I was extremely upset. But I posted a picture of myself and I said, like, wild hair don't care. Because my hair was staticky in the photo, which tends to happen. And I explained this in the comments after this idiot made this extremely rude, disrespectful comment to me. But after, like, I wash, dry, and straighten my hair, it tends to be staticky sometimes. And so that's why I said wild hair don't care, because my hair was staticky in the photo. But he's like, or he commented on my photo and he was like, you look like you just got lit and are about to get the business, or you look like you just got lit and got the business. So I was extremely upset because don't come at me like that. And I said, or my hair was just staticky. That's how I responded. And I said, what did I say? I said I will never post a picture of me after I had sex. So I don't understand why you would say something like that to me. I was like, and I was just, I was upset. And so I was just like explaining, and people told me like I didn't have to explain myself, and they were right. But I was just like really upset that he did that. And he was like, oh yeah, he like posted a picture of like a little guy laughing and was like, I'm just joking. And then, but the image of the guy he posted when he said he was joking said, stop lying. So it's like, no, you're not joking. But I share that to say that because of incarnated Fae, because of our energy, some people do not know how to take us. They perceive everything about us to be sexual. They come at us in disrespectful ways. And so that is basically what was going on here in this show. And I honestly think it was disrespectful of the writer to make the Fae prostitutes. But anyway, so in this image, this is Tourmaline LaRue. I love her character. She's in both of these images. She's like holding Vignette down. Vignette's like the main character, played by Cara Delevingne. I don't know if I said her name right. But somebody actually told me that I looked like her a few years ago, which I think is so interesting. Like, this is all coming to me now. Like, all the pieces are connecting. Somebody told me I look like, I guess, a more melanated Cara Delevingne. I personally don't think I do, but to this person I did. But anyway, she's the main character. Cara Delevingne plays Vignette. Vignette's the main character, but I didn't put her picture here because I really like Tourmaline LaRue. I feel like Tourmaline LaRue was trying to like tell Vignette like, yo, like trying to hold her down, like stay grounded, like don't allow this to take you here, there, and there. And she was just, she was loving to Vignette. And I really respected her. Like, she didn't seem like the type to take shit from anybody. But so there's that. Now this is the last show that I'm going to share. I think, I don't know, but this is Invisible City, and this is on Netflix. It was released in 2021. And this is what it's about. It says, while investigating a murder, a detective is drawn into a battle between the visible world and an underground realm inhabited by magical creatures. And that quote's from IMDb. Now, like I said, I haven't watched this yet, but I recently came across it. And it's newer, so I decided to add it in here. But I also wanted to add this image because it shows, like, what is going on. What type of creatures are in here. So the butterfly is showing you the Fae element. Okay, so the elemental phase. The butterflies are representing that. Then you have the man here with the fire on his head. The man with the fire on his head is Kurupira. not Kaipora, but Kurupira, which is another um, earth creature, another protector of the forest in Brazilian folklore. And so Kurupira has feet that are backwards. He can trick hunters, lead them astray. Um, he is said to have red hair. So here they made his hair be a hair of fire, um, because he can also like kick ass if need be if people are respecting the forest, similar to Kaipora. So I really wanted to add that when I saw. I was like, oh my god, like I know who this creature is. Like, yeah. And another thing in media, Faye plays tricks on humans using media, and I definitely think this was a Faye thing. So I don't know if you guys heard of the lawyer who had the kitty filter during his Zoom meeting, but I thought it was hilarious. Like I watched that video and I was cracking up like so hard, like y'all don't even understand, because I'm like, this is total Fae energy. And then here's the excerpt from the article that points to more Fae energy, just like even the way it's written. It says the mundane civil forfeiture hearing took a hilarious turn when Presidio County Attorney Rod Ponton arrived in Zoom court in the form of a fluffy white and brown kitten. And then it goes on to say District Court Judge Ferguson tried to walk Ponton through keystrokes, but Ponton said he was ready to proceed even in his feline form. So just imagine having to be serious during a business meeting, but like you have a cat filter on. Like that shit was hilarious to me. But anyway, that was definitely Faye energy. Just like the fact that that happened. I think the article also um, spoke of. I think maybe he had a niece or like a daughter or a granddaughter or somebody who was using his computer, and they say that's how he got the cat filter on. But also, that again, that points to Faye too, because Faye and children go hand in hand. A lot of times, because children haven't necessarily been tainted by the mundane world yet, they can see these uh, entities and they can communicate with entities in the earth realm. So, and other entities in other realms too. So, yeah, that this instance had Fate energy written all over it for me. And then here we have some celebrity elementals, Willow and Jaden Smith. In an interview, they spoke about wanting to leave the modern world and live in nature. Both of them are clearly like just different. They're unique. Like you don't see a lot of people like them. Like I've never seen anybody like Willow and Jaden Smith. So you can't really put them in a box. Um, they stand in who they are, or at least who, even while maybe even if they're trying to find themselves, like they're still like standing in that power of who they are. And so there's something about them that people don't know. It's a bit of like a mystery to them. And I say that Jaden has pixie energy. The reason I don't say he has elf energy is because he doesn't really seem like a warrior type of guy. He seems more like calm and gentle, have a gentle spirit who does his own thing. So to me, he has like pixie energy. He could be an incarnated pixie. Willow, I would say she has fae energy just because, she is very open to expressing herself. She speaks up for herself. She's obviously very unique, like I've stated already, and she's wise beyond her years. And I get like a light type of energy from her, and an innocence. She's like she has an innocence to her. So, yeah. Another one is Doja Cat. So Doja Cat, like if y'all know her music, if y'all have seen anything by her, if y'all have seen her on Instagram Live or on TikTok, whatever, you know that she's a very playful person. Like even in her music, she's just a very playful person. And so I was like Doja Cat. So I like typed in her name to bring up to get a picture to put in this slideshow, and I came across this one. I was like, oh shit, this confirms like she is an incarnated fae. Um, well, I think she is an incarnated fae. Um, and she can't be placed in a box either, which is shown through her art. She sings, she raps, she does different genres. She has like all these artistic ideas, which you see in her makeup. You see in this photo where she's doing like the fairy, her elf look. She expresses herself, which in this day and age, everybody's hypersensitive. Um, so, people have gotten upset about what she's expressed, but anyway, she expresses herself. She goes off at fans if they piss her off, you know. But her energy is like a flittering energy. Like when I see her, I think of like, fleep, 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 fleep. Like I just see like different. I see like that her energy doing that. Like it's just flittering around, like flying, like a bunch of flying insects or a bunch of flying fae and like high pitched voices. That's what I get when I see her. Um, so yeah, she's another celebrity elemental. Now on to signs and more that point to fae and other elementals. So this rock formation is a hoodoo. It's also known as a fairy chimney or tent rock or earth pyramid. These names have different, these structures have different names in different areas from different people of different cultural backgrounds. So the hoodoo is a naturally formed spire made of rock and minerals. Now, I believe these areas to be I believe they were once like fae cities in the days of old, and they were hit very hard when the humans began attacking the fae during that ancient war. And so I believe these and the areas where the other hoodoos are were originally covered in plant life, and many of the plant life due to this war were driven out or killed altogether. So that's my take on that. It's said that hoodoos are created by erosion and that erosion will eventually destroy them. So the hoodoo is found in areas with little to no rain, and it's found in bad lands. So southwestern United States area, such as Utah. This is an image of Goblin Valley State Park in Utah. They're found in Turkey, and there are also some found in Taiwan. And they're all like, if you look them up, there's also ones of like different colors, and they just look very like mystical and yeah. But like I said, I believe these areas to be like face city hubs type of areas. So the spiral. Now, with the spiral, like spirit called me to add the spiral because I really was not even thinking about the damn spiral. But and I don't fully understand why yet. Maybe this will come to me later. But like spirit was like, put the spiral in here in the slideshow, and so yeah. So the spiral is an ancient symbol for creation, for energy, evolution, the cycle of life, the journey to enlightenment, and it has different meanings for different cultures around the world. So they can be found in American Indian petroglyphs. So at the top here we have the Taino petroglyphs at Piedra Escrita in Ayuya, Puerto Rico, which is actually in the middle of a river. And then we have image 2, which is a Pueblo Petroglyph. I believe it depicts something about the Hopi, if I remember correctly. And this is at Castle Rock Pueblo near the Mesa Verde region. So more spirals. Image 1 is the spiral building at Sochi, Takao. And this is in Tlaxcala, Mexico. And Takao was a ceremonial center for fertility originally. So fertility gods were venerated here, which goes back to, again, like I said about the Fae, being those sexual type of creatures, having the strong sexual energy. So, perhaps that's why Christians have placed a cross on top of this building that has yet to be removed. So they placed a cross on top of this building right here in 1632 AD. And I feel like that was kind of a way to like drive the driving the nail into the coffin, or whatever that saying is, to be like, yeah, we got you, like, we've conquered you, you know. But yeah, so it's like they're with that cross, it's like they're trying to suppress, and it's not in this image because I purposely looked for an image that didn't have that damn cross in it. But it's like they're trying to suppress that energy that's there by putting that cross there, you know? So, and the second image is a spiral mound at Lamar Mound site near the Ocmulgee River in Bibb County, Georgia, USA. So there's that. More signs that point to elemental phase are the insect cousins of the Fae, which the Fae also have the ability to transform into at will if need be necessary. So dragonflies, butterflies, moths, and lightning bugs are a few. Okay, so are you an incarnated Fae? Here are a few signs outside of the ones that I've previously shared. Well, I may have reshared a few ones in here, but anyway. You long to be in nature, away from man-made civilization. So if you're feeling that way, then there's a good chance that you are an incarnated Fae, or you may just be an incarnated elemental. Maybe you're not a Fae in particular, but anyway. If you miss your wings or you yearn to fly, then you could definitely be an incarnated Fae, maybe an incarnated pixie or an incarnated elf, elven. Maybe not an elf, but anyway. If you're missing your wings or you feel like you wish you had wings, or you're like, I wish I could fly, then there's a great chance that you're an incarnated Fae. I used to tell my dad when I was younger, like, I wish I could fly, I wish I could fly. And I remember us having this conversation, and I was like talking about different Fae, honestly. But I didn't know that I was talking about different Fae. Like, it just naturally occurred. And I was like, can you imagine how different types of like beings like with wings would look? And like, I was like kind of poking fun at all the emo kids, and I was like, the emo Fae would be like flying all depressed and shit and stuff like that. But yeah, like I've always since I can remember have had the feeling like I wish I could fly, you know, or having dreams where I'm flying. So, which I have actually had a dream where I was flying. I actually told a really close friend about a dream I had probably about a year or so ago where we were flying, and I think we were actually at war, if I remember correctly, and we touched down in the water, and I was afraid about touching down in the water because I didn't know how far away it was from the shore, but it wasn't that far. I guess I was afraid of the water, maybe couldn't swim, but I could fly, so yeah. And it felt so freeing, like it felt so freeing to be able to fly. Like, oh my God. Another sign is you're different from others. So like you feel like an outcast, like you're just like, you're different. People may see you as weird. You know you're weird. You may embrace that, you may not. Another sign is disgust or contempt towards humans. Like you just can't stand people. And that comes from what humans are doing to the planet, and lack of concern and lack of care for the planet. And just that ancient war that's persistent. It's a war that we're still facing today. So another sign is you feel called to protect Mother Earth. And then the last sign, you feel the need to create. So I think I saw something that was saying like what's the name of the author of Lord of the Rings? Tolkien? Was it J.R. Tolkien? I think I came across some information saying that Tolkien was an incarnated fae, and I thought that was interesting. I do think that there probably are incarnated fae that are writing these stories and you know, putting it out there, putting the message out there to get the word out, like, hey, stop destroying our home, you know. I wanted to add this in here just because I think mental health is very important, and there's so many people dealing with things, especially right now, due to the pandemic, and then on top of that, you have the winter storm and people who are, you know, may not have electricity and things of that nature. So it's a lot going on the planet right now. You know, the environment's still being destroyed, and so it's layers upon layers of things going on. So I really wanted to touch on the topic of mental health for Fae Elementals. It's difficult to be happy and thrive when you're not in your natural environment. And this leads us to depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and suicidal behavior. And this could also lead to the use of drugs and alcohol. It's important to live near or in a natural environment or around many trees. If you cannot, okay, so if you are an urban fae, like you are, and what I mean by that is just you're living in an urban area. You are an incarnated fae who's living in an urban area right now. It's going to be really hard on you unless you take frequent trips to natural environments such as forests, jungles, or you can go to state parks. And just areas like that to where you can be out in nature, where you can breathe, because you will literally be like, you'll feel smothered. And I remember taking a class, and it had to do with mental health. And a person in the class was speaking on just how they felt dealing with depression, and how they said it felt like a big bear was just squeezing them really hard. And I've dealt with that. Like, I've had those experiences, I've had those feelings. And so I can relate. So it is just like an essential thing for incarnated fae to make sure that you are around nature, in nature, dealing with nature as much as possible. You could also get involved in environmentalism. You know, advocating for something you care about can really help, especially your realm, you know, your planet. You can create, as I mentioned in the other slides, gardening that brings you closer to the earth, brings you closer to earth creatures. You can get plants for your home that will help you feel better and also purify the air in your home. You can get bird feeders, you know, feed the birds. Like, they will come. Birds will come when you put out a bird feeder. So that's something you could do to see them, to look at them, and just to partake in enjoying other earth creatures, you know. Something to lift your spirits. You can get animal friends. I don't like to say pets because I feel like that's like a human mundane term to put animals beneath humans by calling them pets. So I just say animal friends. And then last but not least, you could find other incarnated fae. There are probably communities. I'm pretty sure there's communities online. I personally have not found any communities online for incarnated fae, but I also have not looked for any. So I can't say that. Now, I know there's a website called Brown Sugar Fairies for people of color who are into fairies. I honestly think a lot of them are incarnated fae, and I'm not sure if they know it. I'm not sure if all of them know it, or a few of them, I don't know. But their website is brownsugarfairies.com, if I remember correctly. So check out brownsugarfairies.com, because I do believe they have a fae community on their website. So, and that is basically it, guys. Check out my shops, Attic Indigo, Kaona Shoes. The links are in the description box below. Like, comment, and subscribe Did this video touch you? Did you have anything like that I discussed in this video occur with you or happen with you in your life? And do you know anybody who's possibly an incarnated fae and they're struggling? Because maybe they don't know. So maybe you want to pass this video on to them and say, hey, here's something you should look at. If you have anybody who just loves faith, loves fairies, pass this video on to them, you know. And thank you guys for watching. Have a great night.